I'm gay, Camila. I've always been gay.
Sometimes what ends a marriage isn't a big fight. Sometimes it's just ... A phone. A phone that rings at the wrong time, reaches the wrong person. And sometimes that phone exposes years of lies in an instant. Before I share this story with you, ask yourself this. If you saw an unknown name on your spouse's phone, would you ask? Or would you pretend you didn't see it? It was the last day of 2018. The Martinez family, living in Phoenix, Arizona, was making final preparations for the new year, just hours away. From the outside, they were the perfect family. A beautiful home, a successful business, and a 14-year marriage. But that evening, when a phone rang, everything would change. This is Camila Martinez's story. 39 years old, a strong woman. A businesswoman's wife, a mother of two. And that night, when her husband's phone rang, the darkest journey of her life would begin. On that cold December night in Phoenix, Camila was in the kitchen. She was making final preparations for the New Year's dinner. Tamales were cooking in the pot, her husband Rodrigo's favorite dish. She was making it for him. She always made things for him. The children were upstairs, sleeping in their rooms. 13-year-old Diego and 9-year-old Sofia, innocent faces. Unaware faces. Rodrigo was in the living room. 42 years old, construction company owner. He was considered handsome, dark hair, sharp jawline, and those always confident looks. But that evening was different. His phone kept vibrating, and he kept going to another room. It was 10:47 p.m. She had just started preparing the drinks for the countdown to the new year. Rodrigo was in the bathroom. And right at that moment, the phone rang. At first, she ignored it, looking at someone else's phone. She wouldn't do such a thing. But the phone didn't stop. Once, twice, 3 times. A name was flashing on the screen. Marco, business partner. On New Year's Eve at 11 o'clock. It must be urgent. Maybe a construction site problem. Maybe something important. She'd tell Rodrigo when he came out, but then a message arrived. The preview appearing on the screen would change Camila's world. Baby, this year will be so special for you. I missed you. My wife is visiting family again. Come tomorrow. Camila's hand trembled. The phone almost fell from her hand. She rubbed her eyes. She must have read it wrong. But no. The words were still there. On the bright screen, staring into her eyes. My wife is visiting family again. So Marco had a wife. And Rodrigo. Rodrigo was hiding from that wife. But how could this be? Marco was a business partner. He was a man. Wasn't he? Camila's heart was beating so fast, she feared her chest would explode. Her hands were sweating. She put the phone on the table. But she couldn't take her eyes off the screen. The sound of water came from upstairs. Rodrigo was washing his hands. In a few seconds, he'd come downstairs. And Camila? What would Camila do? A voice inside her said, "Don't get involved." Maybe it was a wrong message. Maybe a wrong number. Maybe ... but her fingers had already touched the screen. She knew the passcode, Rodrigo's. Birthday, 0812. The phone opened. She entered the Messages app. She opened the Marco business partner conversation. And every word she read was a knife stabbing into her heart. Messages going back months. Hundreds of messages. Maybe thousands. It was so beautiful to see you today. ... Call me when my wife leaves the house. ... You were amazing last night. ... I love you. ... Camila's knees trembled. She sat down on the kitchen chair. Or rather, collapsed would be more accurate. The phone was in her hand, but the images were starting to blur. Tears were covering her eyes. 14 years. She had been married to this man for 14 years. She had given birth to 2 children. She had cooked for him every day. She had slept beside him every night. And he had been with someone else, but this someone else wasn't a woman. Marco was a man. Footsteps came from the stairs. Rodrigo was coming down. Camila quickly put the phone on the table, right where it was. She stood up, turned to the stove. Her hands were still trembling, but she put on a mask. A cold mask. "Are the tamales ready?" Rodrigo asked, entering the kitchen. Camila turned. Her gaze pierced into her husband's eyes. That familiar face. That familiar voice. But now everything was strange. "Almost," she said, her voice flat. Rodrigo took his phone, put it in his pocket. He hadn't noticed anything. Or maybe he didn't want to notice. And you? What would you do if you were in that situation? Would you speak up right then? Or would you wait? Camila waited. But this waiting would take her to such a place that midnight. They popped champagne. They said, "Happy New Year" to each other. Rodrigo kissed Camila. With a fake smile on his lips, Camila responded. With a fake smile on her lips, but they both knew now. They knew in different ways. Rodrigo knew he had a secret. Camila. She knew what that secret was, and that night, in the quiet streets of Phoenix, inside their beautiful home, 2 people lay side by side. Neither of them slept. Both of them thought. One thought, "I wish she didn't know." The other thought, "I wish I didn't know." But knowing changes everything. And Camila knew now. The question was, what would she do with this knowledge? Because sometimes knowing is the most dangerous weapon. The first day passed like this. The first day of the new year. In silence. Camila didn't say anything. But her eyes saw everything. Every glance Rodrigo gave to his phone. Every message. Vibration. Every excuse he made. Up for every lie. "I need to go to the construction site. My business partner called. I have a meeting today." Marco. It was all for Marco. 3 days passed. Camila still hadn't spoken. But now she wasn't just watching. She was investigating. When Rodrigo went to work, she looked at phone records, call history, message history, everything. And she found it. Marco Velasquez. 36 years old. Mexican descent. And yes, male. But the really shocking part. Camila knew him. 2 years ago, at Rodrigo's company opening party, they had met. Marco was there. A handsome, polite, friendly man. "Our new business partner," Rodrigo had said. They had shaken hands, and that night when Camila came home, she had said, "What a kind man." Rodrigo had laughed. "Yes, he's a very good friend," he had said. Friend. Now everything was falling into place. The changes in Rodrigo's behavior over the last 2 years. Staying at work until late hours. Going to construction site inspections on weekends. Being more attached to his phone. And that distancing. And here I want to ask you, if you learned something like this, what would your first reaction be? Would you confront immediately, or would you stay silent like Camila and gather evidence? Write in the comments. Because the choice Camila made would take her down a very dark path. In the next part, I'll tell you about Camila's secret meeting with Marco. Yes, you heard that right. Camila met with Marco, and that meeting made everything even worse. So what do you think Camila should have done? Should she have gotten divorced? Or should she have tried to save her marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments. On January 4th, 2018, Camila did something she never thought she would do. She found Marco's personal number. Not the business number that was saved in Rodrigo's phone. His real number. His private number. She found it through social media. Marco had a Facebook account. Not very active, but it was there. And in his About section, there was a phone number. Camila stared at that number for hours, her finger hovering over the screen. Should she call? Should she text? What would she even say? Hello, I'm your lover's wife? No, that sounded ridiculous. I know about you and Rodrigo. Too direct. We need to talk? Too vague. But she had to do something. She couldn't just sit there, watching her husband lie to her every single day. She couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. She couldn't keep cooking his favorite meals, sleeping in his bed, raising his children, while he was living a double life. So she texted. Simple. Direct. This is Camila Martinez, Rodrigo's wife. We need to meet. She pressed send before she could change her mind. Then she waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Nothing. Maybe he wouldn't respond. Maybe he would tell Rodrigo. Maybe this was a huge mistake. But then, her phone vibrated. When? That's all he wrote. One word. When? Not who are you. Not I don't know what you're talking about. Not leave me alone. Just. When? So he knew. Of course he knew. He knew about her, just like she now knew about him. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. Desert Ridge Marketplace. The coffee shop near the fountain. She chose a public place. Somewhere safe. Somewhere Rodrigo would never go during work hours. Okay. Again, just one word. Camila put her phone down. Her hands were shaking again. What had she just done? What was she getting herself into? The next day arrived faster than she expected. January 5th, a Saturday. Rodrigo had gone to a construction site inspection. Of course he had. Camila told him she was going shopping. The children were at her mother's house. She arrived at Desert Ridge at 1:45 p.m., 15 minutes early. She wanted to be there first. She wanted to see him arrive. She wanted to be in control. She ordered a coffee she wouldn't drink. Found a table in the corner, where she could see the entrance, where she could watch. At exactly 2 p.m., Marco walked in. He looked different than she remembered. Thinner maybe. Or maybe it was the weight of guilt that made him look smaller. He was wearing jeans and a simple black t-shirt. Sunglasses that he took off as soon as he entered. He saw her immediately. Their eyes met. And for a moment, neither of them moved. Then Marco walked over, slowly, each step looking like it took effort. He sat down across from her. Didn't order anything. Just sat there. The silence was suffocating. You know, Camila finally said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. I saw you at the company party 2 years ago. You seemed nice. Marco looked down at his hands. I am nice. Nice people don't destroy families. I'm not destroying anything. I'm in love. Camila laughed. It was a bitter sound. Empty. You're in love. How beautiful. How romantic. And what about your wife? Are you in love with her too? Marco's jaw tightened. That's complicated. I'm sure it is. Just like my marriage is now complicated. Funny how that word covers so much pain, isn't it? Look, Camila. Marco leaned forward. I didn't plan this. I didn't wake up one day and decide to fall in love with a married man. It just happened. Things don't just happen, Marco. People make choices. You chose this. Rodrigo chose this. And I get to live with those choices. Do you love him? The question caught Camila off guard. What, Rodrigo? Do you still love him? Camila stared at this man. This stranger who had been sharing her husband for 2 years. I don't know anymore. I thought I did. I thought I knew who he was. But now, I don't know anything. Marco nodded slowly. He loves you, you know. He talks about you all the time. About the kids. About the life you built together. And yet he's here with you. Because he loves me too. The words hung in the air between them, heavy, undeniable. So what do you want me to do? Camila asked. Step aside. Give him to you. Pretend the last 14 years meant nothing. I want ... Marco stopped. Took a breath. I want him to be happy. Even if that means losing him. How noble of you. I'm serious. If he chooses you, I'll walk away. I'll disappear. I'll move to another state if I have to. But if he chooses me, can you let him go? Camila felt tears burning in her eyes. But she wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of him. He's my husband. The father of my children. My partner for 14 years. You're asking me to let that go like it's nothing. I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm saying, maybe it's not enough. Those words hit harder than anything else he could have said. Because deep down, Camila had been thinking the same thing. If Rodrigo could hide this for 2 years, if he could lie so easily, if he could love someone else while sleeping next to her every night, maybe what they had wasn't enough. Maybe it never was. Does your wife know? Camila asked quietly. Marco's face changed. Pain flashed across his features. No. Are you going to tell her? I don't know. So you're just going to keep lying to her? Just like Rodrigo lies to me. It's not that simple. It never is it? It's never simple. It's never black and white. It's always complicated, always gray, always ... something. Camila stood up. She couldn't sit there anymore. Couldn't breathe in that space. I came here because I needed to see you. I needed to understand. But I don't. I don't understand how you can do this. How he can do this. How 2 people can destroy 4 lives and call it love. Marco stood too. Camila, wait ... No, I'm done. I'm done listening. I'm done trying to understand. You want him? Fine, but you're going to have to take him from me. Because I'm not giving up without a fight. She walked away. Left her untouched coffee on the table. Left Marco standing there. But as she walked to her car, something inside her had changed. The sadness was still there. The pain was still there. But now there was anger. Pure, burning anger. She got in her car. Gripped the steering wheel. And screamed. Screamed until her throat hurt. Screamed until the tears finally came. When she drove home that day, she made a decision. She wasn't going to be the victim in this story. She wasn't going to be the woman who stayed quiet while her husband lived a lie. She was going to confront Rodrigo. That very night. She was going to lay everything out. The phone, the messages, the meeting with Marco. Everything ... and whatever happened next. Well, that would be up to him. But what Camila didn't know was that Rodrigo already knew about the meeting. Marco had texted him immediately after she left. And Rodrigo was preparing his own response. That night would change everything. But not in the way anyone expected. Because sometimes, when you back someone into a corner, they don't surrender. They fight. And Rodrigo was about to fight in a way no one saw coming. What do you think Rodrigo did when he found out about Camila's meeting with Marco? Did he confess everything? Did he deny it? Or did he do something else entirely? And here's another question for you. If you were Camila, would you have met with Marco? Or would you have confronted Rodrigo first? Sometimes the order of our actions determines everything that follows. Write your thoughts in the comments. Because what happens next, it's going to shock you. Camila arrived home at 4:30 p.m. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Rodrigo's truck was in the driveway. He was home early. That never happened on Saturdays. She walked in through the front door. Her heart was pounding. This was it. The moment of truth. Rodrigo? She called out, in the kitchen. His voice was calm. Too calm. Camila felt a chill run down her spine. She walked into the kitchen. Rodrigo was sitting at the table. 2 glasses of wine in front of him. One red, one white. He knew she preferred white. "Sit down," he said. Not a request. A command. Camila hesitated. Something was wrong. Everything about this felt wrong. I said, "Sit down, Camila." She sat, her hands in her lap, her eyes on his face. That face she had loved for so long. That face that now looked like a stranger's. Rodrigo pushed the white wine toward her. "Drink." "I don't want to drink. I'm not asking." They stared at each other. A silent battle of wills. Finally, Camila picked up the glass, took a small sip. The wine tasted bitter on her tongue. "Marco called me," Rodrigo said. His voice was steady, emotionless. "He told me about your little meeting." "Good, then we can talk about it." "Talk about what, Camila?" "Talk about how you went behind my back. How you invaded my privacy. How you read my personal messages." "Your privacy? Your privacy?" Camila's voice rose. "You've been cheating on me for 2 years, and you want to talk about privacy?" "I haven't been cheating." The words hung in the air. Camila stared at him. "What did you just say?" "I said I haven't been cheating. Marco and I. We're friends. Close friends. That's all. Don't lie to me. I read the messages. I saw everything. I love you. Last night was amazing. I can't wait to see you again. Those aren't messages between friends." Rodrigo leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving hers. "You don't understand. Then make me understand. Tell me the truth. For once in 2 years, tell me the truth." Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then Rodrigo spoke. And what he said changed everything. "I'm gay, Camila. I've always been gay." The words hit her like a physical blow. She felt the air leave her lungs. The room started spinning. "What? You heard me. I'm gay. I've known since I was a teenager. Before I met you. Before we got married. Before everything." Camila's hands were shaking so badly she had to put down the wine glass. You knew? All this time you knew?" "Yes. And you married me anyway? You had children with me anyway? You built a life with me anyway? I thought I could change. I thought if I loved you enough, if I tried hard enough, I could be the man you needed. The man everyone expected me to be. So what was I? A cover? A way to look normal? No, God no. Camila, I do love you. I always have. Just not in the way you deserve." Camila stood up. She couldn't sit anymore. Couldn't breathe. 14 years. 14 years of my life. I gave you everything. My youth, my body, my trust. And you. You were lying the entire time. I wasn't lying. I was trying to survive. Don't you dare. Don't you dare make this about you being a victim. You had choices. You could have told me before we got married. You could have been honest. You could have let me decide if I wanted this life. Would you have married me if I told you? Of course not. But at least I would have had the choice. At least I would have known what I was getting into. Rodrigo stood up too. They faced each other across the kitchen table. 2 people who had shared a life, but never really knew each other. So what now? Camila asked. You want a divorce? You want to run off with Marco and play house? Marco has a wife. He's not leaving her. How convenient. So you both get to keep your perfect little families while sneaking around behind our backs. It's not like that. Then what is it like, Rodrigo? Explain it to me. Make me understand how this is okay. How any of this is okay. Rodrigo ran his hands through his hair. For the first time, he looked tired, broken. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say you're sorry. I want you to say you regret what you did. I want you to show some remorse for destroying our marriage. I'm sorry you're hurt. I really am. But I'm not sorry for loving Marco. I'm not sorry for finally being who I really am. Those words cut deeper than anything else. Because in that moment, Camila realized something. Rodrigo didn't see himself as the villain in this story. He saw himself as the victim. The man who had been trapped, who had been suffering, who had finally found freedom, and her pain, her suffering, her 14 years of being lied to. That was just collateral damage. Get out, she said quietly. What? Get out of this house. Get out of my sight. I can't look at you right now. Camila, we need to talk about this. We need to figure out what we're going to tell the kids. The kids. Oh God, the kids. Camila felt her legs weaken. She grabbed the counter for support. Diego and Sofia, what are we going to tell them? We'll figure it out together. There is no together anymore. There's you, and there's me, and there's this gigantic lie between us. That's all there is. I'm still their father. Are you? Because right now, I don't know who you are. I don't know if I ever knew who you were. Rodrigo grabbed his keys from the counter. I'll stay at a hotel tonight. Give you some space to think. But Camila, we need to talk. Really talk. About everything. About the kids, the house, the business. We can't just end 14 years without a conversation. You ended it 2 years ago when you started sleeping with Marco. I'm just acknowledging what you already did. Rodrigo walked toward the door. Then stopped. Turned back. For what it's worth. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted any of this. But you did. You did hurt me. And you knew you would eventually. You just hoped it would be later rather than sooner. He didn't deny it. Just looked at her with those sad eyes. Those lying eyes. And walked out, the door closed. The house fell silent again. Camila stood in the kitchen, alone, the 2 wine glasses still on the table. One empty. One barely touched dot. She thought she would cry. Thought she would scream. Thought she would break down, but she didn't. Instead, she felt nothing. A vast empty nothing. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. The kids want to stay another night. Is that okay? Camila typed back with trembling fingers. Yes, that's fine. She needed time. Time to process. Time to think. Time to figure out how to tell her children that their father was gay, that their parents were getting divorced, that everything they knew was about to change. But as she sat there in the quiet kitchen, another thought crept in. A darker thought. Rodrigo had seemed too calm, too prepared. Like he had been expecting this conversation. Like he had been planning for it. The wine. The 2 glasses. The way he had been waiting for her. Had Marco warned him? Of course he had. Marco had texted him right after their meeting. So Rodrigo had hours to prepare. Hours to think about what he would say. How he would say it. This wasn't a spontaneous confession. This was a calculated move, and that made Camila wonder. What else had Rodrigo calculated? What else had he planned? She picked up her phone. Opened her banking app. Their joint account. The one where all the business money went. Her heart stopped. The account was empty. Almost completely empty. Where there should have been over $200,000, there was now $195,000. Gone. Camila's hand started shaking again. She checked the transaction history. Multiple transfers over the past week. All to an account she didn't recognize. Rodrigo hadn't just been preparing for this conversation. He had been preparing to leave. He had been moving money, hiding assets, getting ready. How long had he been planning this? Days? Weeks? Months? And more importantly, what else had he done? Camila grabbed her laptop, logged into every account she could think of, savings, investments. The business accounts empty, all empty. Or nearly empty. Rodrigo had cleaned them out. The man she had trusted for 14 years. The man she had built a life with. The man who just minutes ago had stood in her kitchen and told her he loved her. That man had stolen from her. The numbness was gone now. Replaced by rage. Pure, burning rage. Camila picked up her phone. Dialed Rodrigo's number. He answered on the first ring. Camila, I know you're upset, but where's the money? Silence. I said, where's the money, Rodrigo? $200,000 doesn't just disappear. More silence. You son of a bitch. You planned this. You've been planning this for months, haven't you? I needed to protect myself. Protect yourself? That's my money too. I worked for that money. I helped build that business. And you'll get your share. When we divorce, you'll get half of everything. But right now, I need to make sure you don't do something crazy. Something crazy? Like what? Like what you did. Stealing from your own family? I didn't steal. I moved assets. There's a difference. There's no difference. You took money that doesn't belong to you. Half of it belongs to me. And I took my half. Your half? You took almost everything. Because I know you, Camila. I know when you're angry, you're destructive. I couldn't risk you draining the accounts out of spite. Camila laughed. A harsh, bitter sound. So this is my fault now? You cheat on me, you lie to me, you steal from me, and somehow I'm the villain? I never said you were the villain. You didn't have to. Your actions said it for you. She hung up. Threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall, the screen cracking. But Camila didn't care. She didn't care about the phone. Didn't care about the wine glasses. Didn't care about anything except the burning fury inside her chest. Rodrigo had made a mistake. A big mistake. He had underestimated her. He thought she would cry, would break down, would accept his lies and his theft and his betrayal. But he was wrong. Camila Martinez wasn't going to break. She was going to fight. And by the time she was done, Rodrigo would wish he had never met Marco Velasquez. Think about this. When someone betrays you, steals from you, and then acts like they're the victim, how far would you go to get justice? Would you take the high road? Or would you fight fire with fire? Because Camila was about to cross a line. A line that, once crossed, couldn't be uncrossed. 3 days passed. Camila didn't call Rodrigo back. Didn't answer his calls. Didn't respond to his texts. Instead, she made calls of her own. First, to a lawyer. Maria Delgado. One of the best divorce attorneys in Phoenix. They met the next morning. Camila brought everything. Bank statements. Phone records. Screenshots of the messages. Everything. Maria listened. Took notes. And when Camila finished, she leaned back in her chair. You have a strong case. Adultery. Financial misconduct. We can go after everything. I want everything, Camila said. The house. The business. Custody of the kids. I want him to have nothing. Maria nodded. We can make that happen. But Camila, are you sure? Divorce like this, it gets ugly. Really ugly. He made it ugly when he emptied our bank accounts. Fair enough. I'll draft the papers today. We can file by the end of the week. Second call was to an accountant. Someone who could trace where Rodrigo had moved the money. Someone who could help her understand exactly what she was dealing with. The accountant found things even Camila didn't expect. Offshore accounts. Hidden LLCs. Money that had been moved not just in the past week, but over the past 6 months. Rodrigo hadn't just been planning to leave. He had been planning to disappear. But the third call, that was the one that changed everything. Camila called Marco's wife. She found her on Facebook. Beatriz Velasquez. 34 years old, beautiful, smiling in every photo. With Marco, with their daughter. A little girl, maybe 5 years old. Camila stared at those photos for a long time. This woman had no idea. Just like Camila had no idea 3 weeks ago. This woman thought she had a good marriage. A faithful husband. A happy life. And Camila was about to destroy all of that. Her finger hovered over the message button. Should she do this? Should she tell Beatriz the truth? Or should she leave her in ignorance? Let her have a few more months or years of peace before everything fell apart. But then Camila remembered. Remembered how it felt to find out. Remembered the phone ringing on New Year's Eve. Remembered reading those messages. Remembered sitting across from Marco and hearing him say, "I'm in love." Beatriz deserved to know. Just like Camila had deserved to know. So she typed, "Hi Beatriz. You don't know me, but my name is Camila Martinez. I'm Rodrigo's wife. I think we need to talk about our husbands." She pressed send before she could change her mind. The response came faster than expected. "What about them?" Camila took a deep breath. Then she told her everything. The messages. The affair. The lies. All of it. She waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this Camila?" The voice was shaking. "Female. Young? Yes, Beatriz? Tell me you're lying. Please tell me this is some kind of sick joke. I wish it was." Silence. Then the sound of crying. Soft at first, then louder. The sound of a heart breaking in real time. "I'm so sorry," Camila said. "I know how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. How long have you known?" 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I had no idea. I thought we were happy. I thought he loved me. He probably does love you. In his own way. But he loves my husband more. More crying. Then, what are we going to do? I'm divorcing Rodrigo. I'm taking him for everything he's got. And if you want, we can do this together. Together? 2 wives. 2 betrayals. We can make sure they both pay for what they did. Beatriz was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Okay, tell me what you need me to do." Over the next week, Camila and Beatriz worked together. They compared notes, shared evidence, built a timeline of the affair. Every lie, every secret meeting, every stolen moment. They discovered that Marco had been doing the same thing Rodrigo had. Moving money, hiding assets, preparing to leave. Both men had been planning their escape. Together. But what neither Rodrigo nor Marco knew was that their wives were planning too. On January 15th, 2 divorce filings hit the court system. One from Camila Martinez. One from Beatriz Velasquez, both citing adultery. Both demanding full custody. Both going after every penny. Rodrigo called Camila that night. Furious. "You told his wife? How could you do that? How could I? How could you? You destroyed 2 marriages, Rodrigo. I just made sure everyone knew about it. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting 14 years on you." She hung up. Blocked his number. And for the first time in 3 weeks, she smiled. The legal battle took months. Ugly, brutal months. But Camila had something Rodrigo didn't. She had the truth. And she had Beatriz. Together, they were unstoppable. In the end, Camila got the house. Got primary custody of the kids. Got half the business assets that Rodrigo couldn't hide. Beatriz got similar results. Her house. Her daughter. And enough money to start over. Marco and Rodrigo? They lost almost everything. Their families. Their reputations. Most of their money. And each other. Because when the dust settled, when the lawyers were done, when everything was divided and signed, they realized something. The affair only worked when it was secret, when it was exciting, when it was forbidden. Without the secrecy, without the thrill, without the lies, they had nothing. Marco moved to California, started over, alone. Rodrigo stayed in Phoenix, got a small apartment, sees his kids every other weekend. Camila still lives in the house. Diego is 16 now. Sofia is 12. They know the truth. It was hard to tell them. Harder than anything Camila had ever done. But they deserve to know. Some days are good. Some days are hard. But Camila is still standing. Still fighting. Still surviving. She learned something through all of this. Something important. Betrayal doesn't just hurt. It changes you. It makes you question everything, everyone, every moment of your life. But it also makes you stronger, harder, more aware. Camila Martinez is not the same woman who found that phone on New Year's Eve. That woman was trusting, naive, willing to believe the best in people. This woman knows better. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. So here's my final question for you. Do you think Camila did the right thing? Should she have told Beatrice? Should she have fought so hard? Or should she have just let Rodrigo go and moved on quietly? There's no right answer. Every betrayal is different. Every response is personal. But remember this, the choices we make in our darkest moments define who we become. Camila, they chose to fight. And in fighting, she found herself again. What would you choose?